Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 2 of our Winter Vegetable Sagra. Today, we are starting with Radicchio week. So last week was garlic week. If you missed any of that, you can go to YouTube where you're watching this right now and watch all the recordings that we had for our fantastic speakers last week during garlic week. Today, I'm really excited to introduce my friend Andrea Ghedina, who is coming at us live right now from Chioggia, Italy, which, if you don't know where that is south of Venice. Hello, Andrea.
Oh, good morning. I would say good evening, as it's evening here. Sorry.
Yes, he's 9 hours ahead, joining us in the evening. So grateful to have him with us today. I'm going to introduce Andrea, and then we'll watch a pre-recorded video that he has made for us about the history of Radicchio and different types of Radicchio. Andrea is a Radicchio breeder, and he has a seed company in Italy called Smarties.bio. And I have a bit of a story I like to talk about when I talk about Andrea, is that back in 2014, I went to Italy for Terra Madre. And I was there with Alex Stone from Oregon State University. She's a farmer and the vegetable specialist for OSU. And Josh Folk, who is a farmer in Oregon. And after we experienced Terra Madre, we wanted to go see some seed production and learn more about Radicchio, because we were doing these Radicchio trials here and just really not knowing what we were doing. And we went over to TNT, which is a company in Chioggia, and we spent the day with Andrea and Samuele, who was another person that now has who was working for TNT then, but now has his own company called Levantia. And we just had a really fantastic day with Andrea. Spent so much time explaining everything to us. We had a long car ride out to the farm. We got pulled over for speeding. We saw what wonderful farm shoes the Italians have. But we got out there, and I just remember seeing the biggest field of Radicchio I've ever seen ever. And you were showing us one of these heads. It was a Chioggia, so the round type. And you cut it off and you handed it to me and put it in my hand. And I just remember always feeling the weight of that Chioggia in my hand, because it felt like a head of cabbage. And I remember thinking, what is this? Like, this feels different than any of the Chioggia I had ever, and I have Chioggia earrings on right now, just like that I had ever held before, because the heads just were not tight like that. And they, and we had a lot of questions about timing and when to plant them to get those kinds of heads like that. We were really focused on overwintering. So figuring out the slotting and the timing of seeding them and transplanting them and getting them to head up and make those really nice heads, in January and February and March. We had similar latitude here to Chioggia. So I was like, what is this? And then when you started showing us how many varieties that you guys offered and how many you had, and then you had a chart that you showed me all the different slotting dates. And I thought, oh my God, we have so much to learn. So it was really helpful. It was definitely over our heads and a little bit overwhelming. We came back. I remember Josh wrote an article about it in Growing for Market to kind of, try to help farmers here. Fast forward to 2019, and we had not been keeping in touch. And then you contacted me through Instagram and said, hey, I really like all this stuff that you're doing with Radicchio. It's really great. I left TNT, I went back to school, got a PhD. Now I have this company. And it was, if everybody that knows me knows that I'm very, like serendipity and like synchronicity is like something I think about a lot. And I thought, wow, this is crazy. He just contacted me after all these years, and I said, we happen to be going to Italy for our Radicchio expedition in January. So I put you in touch with Mirta, my friend in Italy, who is organizing that trip for us. And we incorporated you into it. And we got there and got to spend time with you and Samuele, which was a surprise to me. So we went to visit Levantia. We went out to see, we went to see trials, which was really cool because that's what we do here at, at the university, and what we have these plots of all these different varieties, and it's kind of the world that I'm so deeply involved with here. And we got to see your trials out there, that of all the things that you're working on and Levantia is working on. So it was really cool. And the best thing was we had all these farmers with us. I got to just ask you a lot of questions and talk about the challenges that they were having. And so super cool. And then came back very inspired, really excited, wrote a grant to actually continue to fund this work where we can learn from one another. So despite COVID right now, we're kind of on pause as far as the traveling, but we're still trying to continue to have like this international exchange of information. So hopefully we will be able to have you and other Italians come here at the end of 2021 and teach us more about Radicchio, everything from what we're going to talk about today, the history, the types, growing, harvesting, forcing, storing, culture around it, cooking, everything. And then we'll come back and see more specifically how you are growing Radicchio. So I'm really excited about that opportunity. And I also want to mention that, we have this Radicchio zine that we've created here in the US that's written by Jason Salvo and Siri from Local Roots Farm. And it was, again, this serendipity. It was so interesting when we were at lunch, when we were in Chioggia region, you were talking to Jason or something, and then Jason realized, oh, when I was researching, because it's very hard to find all this information about the history of Radicchio, he said, I found your dissertation on the internet, and he read it because he reads Italian and was able to learn a lot and incorporate a lot of that into the Radicchio zine, which is helping all of us in the US understand more about the different types. So really fun, interesting way that you keep popping into our world, that we're glad to have you here to stay. And finally, I'll just mention also that Smarties with Andrea, as well as Uprising Seeds and Culinary Breeding Network, are starting a little collaborative project where you'll be able to buy many of the varieties of Smarties Radicchio, as well as some of the interesting heritage brassicas that you are offering that have not really been commercially available previously, but are very culturally important in your area in northeastern Italy. And the project is going to be called Gusto Italiano project, and there'll be special seed packets that are available from Uprising this coming year. So we have, despite COVID to hold us back, we are continuing forward with our with our international exchange of information. So that is kind of my introduction to who Andrea is, and I'm so grateful to have him, be able to work with him more now. So he has prepared a really great video for us about the history of Radicchio and going through the different types. And then we played it during Rad TV, but there's also been an addition now about talking about the history of forcing techniques, because so many people had questions about forcing. We added that. Just to let you know, also, we will be doing a specific session on forcing on Thursday, same time, same place, that you can join us, and we'll have many US growers showing how they do their forcing, and then Andrea answering questions, and we'll watch the same part about the history on that day as well. So that'll be a good opportunity for people that are interested in learning more about the process and trying it themselves, because even as a home gardener, you can do this yourself if you want. And I see that on Instagram, a lot of people trying to do that to make these absolutely beautiful heads of Radicchio afterward. So For those of you that are watching, you're on YouTube. If you're on your phone or on a laptop or whatever, there's a chat. You can post your questions for Andrea in that chat. I will see them and I will ask them to Andrea after we watch his video. Okay, so we will turn off our cameras and Abba will play the video and we'll see you back in a few minutes. Thank you.
Ciao a tutti, hi everybody. My name is Andrea Ghedina and I am a plant breeder and co-founder of Smarties.bio, an R&D company based in Italy, near Venice, mainly involved in leaf vegetable. I want to thank Lane from the Culinary Breeding Network for the great opportunity she gave me of being a speaker of the third virtual edition of the Sagra del Radicchio. My speech will be mainly involved in Radicchio history and types, and I hope you will enjoy the speech. Radicchio is a traditional European horticultural crop, and even if it is not autochthonous, he had a sort of evolution and developing different types and varieties. According to the use and the purpose they are grown for, we can divide the chicory in 4 groups: root chicory, forage chicory, wheatloaf chicory. It's curious that in Italy we call it Belgian endive, but it is not endive, it's chicory, and leaf chicory, usually known as radicchio. According to another division, for the botanical way, Chicorium intybus, subspecies intybus, can be divided in variety Foliosum, that traditionally includes all the cultivar groups whose commercial products are leaves, like wheatloaf chicory, or sugarloaf from the variety Porphyrium, Catalonia, the variety Silvestre, and Radicchio variety Latifolium. Otherwise, the variety Sativum, that includes all types whose commercial product are roots, can be differentiated in type for industrial transformation, so inulin extraction, or direct to human consumption when roasted, can be used as a substitute of coffee. I try to give you an hypothesis of the Radicchio phylogenesis based on morphological characters and also molecular marker analysis. The cultivation of red chicories dates to the first half of 16th century in the Venetian territories. After spreading the nearby territories, the original type differentiated into well-characterized types. First of all, we have a common ancestor, that is the Rosso di Treviso, that by mass selection was divided in Rosso di Treviso tardivo and Rosso di Treviso precoce. These two types the name are not related to the cycle, because tardivo means late and precoce early, but we nowadays have varieties with early or late cycles on both types. So from the Rosso di Treviso tardivo, by mass selection, choosing the mother plants, the types that were more closed, more overwrapped, we obtained the Rosso di Treviso precoce. And at the same way, we obtained the Rosso di Verona, that if you have a look at the picture, is really similar to Rosso di Treviso precoce, but just shorter. And all the characters, starting from the leaf and the midrib, are really similar, except the size. We don't know if by chance or due to human will, we had some crosses with escarole, Chicorium endivia, that is interfertile with Chicorium intybus, and we obtained the variegated type. Variegato di Castelfranco is the most famous, but we also have a type that is more close, that is the Variegato di Lusia, and by mass selection in 1930 we added the Variegato di Chioggia. In the past, it was very different from the type we know today. It was a sort of wild chicory with an extremely late cycle, and it was ready for harvesting by late February or March. And then two lines of selection started from the Variegato di Chioggia, one choosing the plants without dots, so just white plants, obtaining the bianco, that means white of Chioggia, and the most known rosso di Chioggia, choosing the plants with a lot of red dots till obtaining completely red plants. The red of Chioggia, as I already said, is the most widespread and very extensively grown type. And the other types that are all Radicchio are a sort of well differentiated group of chicories with red or variegated leaves that are traditionally cultivated in Italy. The commercial seed is mainly utilized outside the typical area of origin, where otherwise usually farmers still use their own seed that maintain through yearly conservative selection and on-farm seed production. The majority of commercial varieties are open pollinated populations. But in recent years, both synthetics and hybrid varieties have been put on the market. After this first introduction, I want to show you all the most important types of Radicchio. The Rosso di Chioggia, that is the most common and most well-known all over the world. I want to cite you some very important characteristics. For example, the completely round shape and the red color that don't have to be variegated green or brown. Another important characteristic is the midrib that have to be completely white and as small as possible. Rosso di Treviso Precoce is another really important type. As I already said, we have both Precoce and Tardivo, so early and late varieties and cycles in this type, from 60-70 days from transplanting to 130 days. Rosso di Verona is another really nice type. Here is a very traditional type, egg shape, oval, and really interesting for fresh market because of the texture of the leaf that is in the between of Chioggia and Treviso. So it has less fiber than Treviso, but is more consistent than Chioggia. So it's really interesting to be used both raw or cooked. And another important thing is the size. The original Rosso di Verona don't have to be that big. As you can see from the picture where the radicchio is held in my hand, that is not that big, like a chioggia. Variegato di Castelfranco is one of the most nice type. The base color is creamy yellow with the brush stroke of red dots. You can see from this picture how we present, how we sell it in Italy. It is completely opened, and this is a really important characteristic that we are focused on when we make selection, the ability to be opened. Nowadays, we have self-whitening varieties and that are pretty closed varieties. Thus, we have to balance between yields and ability to be opened, as this is the proper way to be sold. You can help this operation by using warm water or holding the radicchio overnight before making this operation in a warm environment. In the past, growers put the radicchio for a sort of whitening and forcing process in the stable with the kettles because the environment was warm and the radicchio opened by itself. Variegato di Lusia is another variegato type, but more closed, not overwrapped like a chioggia, but more closed than the Castelfranco. The shape is rounded oval. And the interesting thing is that nowadays there are not such early variety of Castelfranco. So for the opening season of the opened Castelfranco, some growers use some super early selections of Variegato di Lusia, like in the last pictures, and they open it trying to make something similar of the Castelfranco. Pan di zucchero or sugarloaf is another chicory, and in Italy we use it just for processing in the ready-to-eat bag salads, and we use it just because it allows really huge yields in the field. But I do prefer the bianco di chioggia to do the same thing due to the texture of the leaf and the taste of the leaf that is for sure better and a good alternative to sugarloaf. And to conclude, I want to show you some radicchio specialties like the Rosa di Gorizia, that is a radicchio that needs some forcing, like the Treviso Tardivo. In the original area of Gorizia, they do the process using humid sawdust, but you can force it in the water as well, the Tardivo. On the right, we have Variegato di Chioggia, that is an extremely late type, like in the past, and is really interesting in the program, the production programs, to have some radicchio till the end of the season when no other types can resist to frost, months of frost, and you can harvest until March. Then we have the Tardivo type that you, I guess, really know. You need to harvest the plant with the roots in the field and then put in some fresh water And well, in the Treviso area, they have a lot of water that come freshly for free from the ground with a stable temperature, something like 12 or 14 Celsius. So the plant have a sort of warm condition in the winter and still goes on working and growing. And well, the core of the plants grow for from 1 week to 2 weeks in the water in the dark and comes extremely crunchy and um, sweet and lose all the bitter taste. Then we have the puntarelle that comes from the Catalonia family. Um, Here is really interesting because the commercial products are not leaves but are stems. So it is a sort of controlled bolting because you don't want to, you need the stems, but you don't want flowering and bolting in the plant. So really strange situation. Then we have Catalonia. Here there is a picture of Gigante di Chioggia, and then the Rosa del Veneto or pink Radicchio. Thanks for all your attention. Hi everybody, this video is an appendix to the previous video on Radicchio history, focused on forcing or whitening Radicchio. About history and origin of this particular process, it's commonly accepted that the first well-known pale yellowish sprouts of wheatloaf chicory were causally obtained by a Belgian farmer around 1870, who had observed and harvested the sprouts from a stock of roots piled up in autumn and left apart during the cold season, waiting to be dried, grounded, and roasted. For what concern types that can be forked, we can mention Rosso di Treviso Tardivo, Rosa di Gorizia, or similar types like Rosa Isontina or Rosa di Istrana, and just in the past, the Variegato di Castelfranco. Now, on the market, there are mainly varieties that are called self-whitening. So they already produce a head that have to be opened, that is already forced by itself due to its shape, and you can find the typical creamy yellow color inside. What concern ways of forcing, we can mention three ways. The most important and widely used is the water way. The second one is with sawdust in cages or boxes. In some farmers use peat or sand rather than sawdust. And the third way that is no more used just in the past is in the field obtaining some bunches of plants that were tied and covered by black. If we want to be focused on the most important way, so the water way, I want to mention you some key points of this process. Water have to be running water. In the Treviso area, they have some resurgence water, and it comes from the ground for free. So it's always running water, always clean. And another very important point is that it's warm and stable in terms of temperature. So 12, 14 degrees Celsius, that is something like 53, 57 Fahrenheit. Time of the process is something like 2 weeks, due to the season, can be faster. So at the beginning of the season, when the weather is warmer, it can last less than 2 weeks, and but in January, February, when the season is colder, it can last more than 2 weeks. The place where the tanks are hosted have to be dark, sort of dark room, no that much light, and it helps the whitening process. And when you harvest, at the end of the process, the radicchio leave 5-7 centimeters of root that have to be so to summarize the process, you have to dig the radicchio from the field with the root, clean it from the autumn leaves, and collect it in bunches or boxes or cages. You have to put the cages in tanks with running water until the neck of the plant. The water don't have to touch the leaves. Um, you have to let the core of the radicchio grow again in this new environment, and then you can harvest your white, crunchy, bittersweet forced radicchio from the cages, and clean from autumn leaves again, and peel the root and leave 5 or 7 centimeters of the root itself that is edible and sweet as well. Thanks. Bye bye.
That was great, Andrea.
Here we go.
I really appreciate you putting together all this information for us. It's so helpful to understand. I think especially the part where you're showing us where each of the different varieties came, which things crossed, which were selections that came out of particular populations, because it's very confusing for us to know like what everything is, you know? I want to say also that Andrea helped us a lot with making sure that we had all the names correct, how we were referring to them. So that's something that with the larger, you know, the Chicory Week Rad TV, you know, crew, all of us are trying to be very consistent and to be, you know, correct in how we communicate this to the American audience, because there's a lot of mistakes. I mean, as soon as the Rosa types, the pink types started, it's like before they even showed up in our marketplace, really, we saw pictures of it everywhere, and all over like the food media, they called it pink lettuce. So this is where we start from. And so
Yeah.
trying to educate, you know, that's a really big thing, is to try to get people very excited about food culture and radicchio and the history, to get them really excited about eating this thing here that we love so much, that can grow very well here, but to communicate it properly and to preserve the history of, you know, the Italian history of this crop. So I just wanted to say that. I wanted, one thing that came up when I was thinking about your breeding work that happened when I went to visit you when you were with T&T was thinking about Chioggia kind of all being the same. And I was like, yeah, that's Chioggia, and there's one. Well, there's so many, you know, varieties, obviously, but still thinking, knowing that there were many varieties, but just thinking they were all kind of trying to get to the same effect in the end. But I remember you saying, well, we breed for different markets, right? So we breed for, you know, and I'd like you to talk as much as you want about all of this, but there's several questions in here. You know, there's a lot that are sold whole on the marketplace and people buy heads, but there's a lot in Italy that is cut up and processed and put into bags. And not just in Italy, but then you're also breeding for other markets, like at least I remember from T&T, you're breeding for the market in the UK. And in the UK, they don't like bitter as much as they do in the Italian market. So you're actually, from my memory, selecting Chioggia types that had more wider midrib, more white, so that it would be more mild, because on the red leaf part is where there's more bitterness. So I guess the questions kind of are like, what are you concentrating on breeding for, and what are all those markets that you have to think about?
Well, the one important thing to know is that growing radicchio is not easy as growing cabbage, for example. So one important thing is to breed a radicchio that is easy to be grown by farmers. So in the past, there were, I would say, well, I said in the video that growers had their own selections, and they maintained the seed year by year, selecting mother plants by, well, each variety. And they had more or less one variety per each week of harvesting, and they had also different periods, a lot of transplanting, so they had to manage a lot of varieties. So one important thing, one of my goal is to get elastic varieties that can cover a wide period of transplanting, and on consequence, they are very, very, very versatile also during the harvesting. So yes, to decrease the number of varieties is a goal, because it's difficult to manage many of them. And well, for winter varieties, another important goal is cold tolerance. That is useful also because a cold tolerant variety is also a good variety for cold storage. So we grow radicchio both summer to winter and spring to early summer. And there is a period when we have a hole of production, when the spring radicchio is not ready for harvesting, and we use the winter varieties in the fridge, in cold storage. So January and February varieties can stay in the fridge until April. And so, yeah, get a good variety that has good yields also up rate. It's important. Uniformity is one goal that we try to get every time we do selection, because due to its genetic structure of its populations, radicchio has a lot of variability, and so it's really difficult to get good selections in terms of uniformity. So you have to be very severe every time you make selections for this aspect. And then another really important thing is color, because one of the most interesting in radicchio, well, you are promoting the bitterness of the taste, but well, everybody knows that people don't love very bitter taste. So the color is one of the most important thing of this. So it's really important. I'm talking about the red type. The point of red that we are talking about is really important. It doesn't have to be brown or come to brown during the maturity. It doesn't have to be pink, or sometimes goes to orange. So no, it's have to be that deep ruby red, and that's the reason why it became so popular into ready-to-eat bags in processors. So yeah, it is really a key point in breeding gold.
Mhm. So I'm thinking about like the I mean, Americans and Italians are very different in embracing things that are new. What do Italians think about, like, as the pink types, the Rosa del Veneto ones are more prevalent in the market. We're seeing more and more of them. Do the people in, and do they go for much further than the Veneto, or are they just in that area mostly? And what's the market for it? Do you see a lot of farmers wanting to grow it?
I guess that it's neither considered radicchio in the human thinking here. It's something new for us as well, and it's just a pink vegetable. So it's something that is so nice for thanks to its aspect, and people doesn't care about taste. They are just interested by the color, and well, it's really a niche market here, and I guess that also thanks to its cycle, because it's a December January crop, it's pretty popular due to Christmas festivities, and where people is more uh, it's more okay in spending more money for food, and so yes, it's a niche market. It's nice. People is well, they are curious to try something new. I don't care they classify it as a type of radicchio. It's just a pink vegetable, very nice, used for a new salad, for example. It's used mainly raw, so because it's you can see its color really full.
Mhm.
Otherwise, if I guess it comes brown. So,
Mhm.
yeah, this is the situation here about pink. So I guess similar to you.
Mhm.
So a new crop, a lot of interesting about that. Not really. There is no market for it.
Mhm.
Just something in this period of the year,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
a specialty.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Someone is asking how you come up with the names of your new types, your new varieties.
Um, so now I just have codes. Is this the question?
The question, how do you decide what the name is going to be of the variety? Like, and I realize that for our Gusto Italiano project, I'm supposed to get back with you on the names.
Okay.
But how do you
Yeah.
decide? Is there some way that you decide for them?
Okay. So at the moment we have just codes, but because there are new varieties, new released varieties on the market, and it was easy to identify them by a code just for trials. But the idea is to give Italian names to them, to well, to in the whole project Gusto Italiano, and also to give the Italian sound also on the name, plus then the origin. And yeah, I need some help because uh, I want to use names that are easy to be pronounced also by foreign people. Yeah, but the idea is to use Italian names to identify also strongly the origin of the product.
Okay.
And also be romantic.
Yes. We love Italian words and names. Okay, someone asked this, said the texture of forced leaves is so amazing. Does the root of radicchio become more crunchy and sweet during the forcing process?
Mm-hmm. I didn't get the first part of the question, sorry.
So when you do forcing, the leaves become more sweet and crunchy. Does that also happen with the root? Does the root become more sweet and crunchy?
Yes, it's true. Well, you have to form the 90% of the plant in the field. So you have to harvest very strong heads and very well formed and ripened heads. So you want you will get just a small new part in the water. You will throw away part of the autumn leaves already at the first harvesting from the field part, and then the core that is already present at the harvesting time will increase in terms of weight and will come higher. And this part will be really crunchy. The root will come tender, more than when you harvest it, and mainly if you cook it, it's really good to be if you eat it raw, well, I don't like it.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the reason why it becomes crunchy, due to the water and absence of light is another important part.
Yeah. I have another question about the self-forcing. You talk about Castelfranco, and
Yes.
there's selections now for self-whitening, and it kind of forces itself. You do still use warm water, warm air to open it more. But what about in like Treviso Tardivo? Is there any work being done for field, forcing? We have a farm here that Mirta worked at, Ayers Creek Farm, which they have been doing selections over many, many years to find the varieties that actually kind of create that phenotype in the field without having to harvest and bring it in and force it in that way. Is there any work being done? And also, would it be appreciated because it's not the traditional way to do it?
Here in Italy, there are some growers from different area from the traditional one that produce a similar type, not forced, just grown in the field with a smaller head. Well, on the aspect, you can consider it similar to the original one, but the taste is totally different. The midrib is not that white; it's still green, and also the texture is completely different, more fibery, not crunchy, as the it didn't work the process. But that variety that already make a head in the field are really suitable for the forcing process and will produce very strong head, very heavy and yeah, very full.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think is what 70 years ago was made to get Treviso Precoce, the more heading type from Tardivo, if you make it in an extreme way, choosing the wider leaves and the more heading type, you will get, you will drive your population from Tardivo to Precoce in terms not of cycle, not in terms of from late to early, but really in terms of type. So from Tardivo type, you will get some Treviso Precoce type. If you go ahead very strongly choosing the more heading type.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If you try, you will get that result.
Yeah.
I swear you.
Somebody has a question here about, so in your process as a breeder and trying to, breed for all these different markets, do you work with like chefs and grocery stores? I know you work with farmers, but do you also talk to the end user, the person that will be using it all the way at the end to ask them what they want?
Well, I try to be as much as updated on the market because, yeah, I need to breed something that works on the market. So yes, but unfortunately, I don't have direct connection with chef, as in Italy, I guess they don't have a so strong. They are starting to get it, but they don't have a so strong relationship with growers as they have in your area. And you told me that if a new restaurant open and don't have a relationship with the growers, local growers, it has no chance to stay open. And I thought it's great, this relationship with all the community. Yeah, I don't have that kind of relationship. It would be great.
Yeah, here, I mean, depending on where you are, I feel like in Portland, where I live, there will be a restaurant that opens up, and it's, I feel like the chefs are very dedicated to it and want to have the best product, so they want to have a relationship with the farmer. But it also is here like a marketing tool as well, right? So you can say, oh, we buy, farm to table, we buy from farmers, and then because right now consumers are caring about that, in a certain market for sure. Somebody is asking about Radicchio's bitter compounds. It says, do the bitter compounds perform a function in the plant, like a plant defense against insects or fungi? Is there a role that why the plant is bitter?
Good question. I can tell you why it comes sweeter after a frost, if you want. The reason is that the defense of the plant is to accumulate sugar in its water cell. In the cell to decrease the frosting temperature of the liquid. You know that water frosts at a certain temperature, and water plus something needs a colder temperature. So this is the reason why it's commonly knew that Radicchio is sweeter after the first frost and the reason is that to prevent itself from frosting, it accumulates sugar in the cells. I don't really know why Radicchio is bitter, if there is some evolutive reasons, but yeah.
That's fine. We ask a lot of questions here that people are like, I don't know. It's fine not to know. It's fine. I know that your favorite is the Verona type, the egg shape, right? Guess is not very popular here. I know a lot of farmers that grow it, they also feel like it's one of their favorites. I think it's hard for people to choose favorites because they like so many. But what is your favorite way of eating radicchio?
What is your favorite? Sorry.
What is your favorite way of eating radicchio?
Oh, okay. I like it cooked in the oven.
Mhm.
Well, I personally love it very, very cooked. I put almost singular leaves inside. And the important thing is when you wash them to dry them really, really well, because if you leave some water, it comes steamed,
Yes.
sort of steamed, okay, because it's cooked together with the water. And I put some olive oil, and so in this way it comes, well, you're going to get some radicchio chips, something like that, because I go ahead a lot cooking it, and I really like it in this way.
That's a good idea. Kale chips are such a big thing here. People get their kids to eat kale, or even you can buy them in bags at the grocery store, already roasted. And so maybe that's a good way to get people to eat radicchio.
Radicchio chips.
Yes. Someone is asking about the brassicas that you will have, that we're starting to see the Fialaro and the Bassano and these. I don't know if you guys have club root problems, a disease that we have here in the US. Do you know if they have any tolerance or resistance to club root?
I didn't test them because they are heirloom crops, really old selections. I just started with them. The aim of the project is to get some commercial seed of this variety that is nowadays not available, with high standards of quality of the seed in terms of germination, in terms of sanity. Is it correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So Xanthomonas, so bacterial disease free, Alternaria free, and Phoma free. And also in terms of, well, let's say variety, so genetic uniformity of the population, to give satisfaction to the growers in terms of number of plants that can be harvested. So this is the aim of the project. For sure, well, going ahead with the selection, I will improve also resistance if possible. But yeah, at the moment, the one that I mentioned are the goals of the project.
Okay. And we have one last question I'll ask from Abba, actually, our tech guru here. Have you ever seen radicchio for sale as a culinary flower for decorative purposes, like for the flower market? Or anyone selling like the pretty purple flowers?
Here in Italy, no, but well, you know that there are, the most known is purple, but you can get some pink and white, and well, we say purple, but there are 2 or 3 different blue purple color, 2 pinks, and well, white is just white. So you can get a lot of variability also in terms of the color of the flower. So there's no market. Sorry?
Are they edible?
Well, it's a really good idea, something I never thought about, and I should try.
Yeah,
Sure.
very pretty. We some people here really like to use edible flowers on food, you know.
It has a very, very big in terms of very big calyx with the sort of well, the seeds are already formed also before the pollination. So don't know if that part could be a problem for the edible part, but yeah, for garnish for sure, it's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, so many of them look like flowers already. The Radicchio, so pretty. Okay, I'll ask one more question if that's okay with you for your time.
Yeah, I can stay here as long as you need.
Okay. Someone said, I've heard that chicories like being torn rather than cut for putting into a salad mix. Do you find that oxidation occurs on leaf edges more or less by tearing versus cutting a knife? So do they turn colors, oxidize on the edges when you cut?
I usually cut it. So don't know if it's well, there is a reason why you have to stretch it or cut it. One good thing you can do when you wash your radicchio to prepare it for salad meat for your salad, is to put some citric acid. You can find it, I guess, at CVS or something like that, in the water, and it will help to keep the midrib white, and also the point when you cut it, and avoid oxidation. Yeah, you can do that, and your cutting point will stay white.
I was gonna ask, so do you, when you're gonna make it, use it for a salad, do you soak it in ice water?
You can do that, and it helps to keep away some bitterness as well. Yes.
Okay. How long do you do it?
Well, also half an hour.
Okay.
Half an hour you do that half an hour in advance, and will help to weigh the bitterness. Yes.
Someone's asking where they can find your Radicchio varieties in the United States.
Well, you can email to us directly, and when we will be ready with the Gusto Italiano project, I guess they can get them by uprising. So if you go on our website, so the name of the company is also the domain of the website, so Smarties.bio. You are going to find the form where you can write us, and we are going to get your email with your request and answer you directly. And
this is the
Okay. I typed it in for them so they can
okay.
see. Okay. I think those are the questions that we have right now. And I really appreciate this, Andrea. This has been so informative, always. It's saved on YouTube now, so people can go back and watch it and
Great.
questions. And I look forward to having you here again on Thursday with the farmers from here, of which you've met many of them when we came to Italy this year. And so you'll be able to see how they do their forcing technique here, how they're doing it. And people can write in questions, and we can just have like a nice conversation about how we do forcing.
Great.
Thank you so much for being here. And thanks for being an inspiration for us and creating such amazing. I mean, I know I'm part of the project, so of course I'm partial, but I'm part of the project because the Gustiano Italiano project, because they're really fantastic varieties, you know, that this has been a really huge challenge for farmers here to get very good quality seed. And we've seen a lot of, better quality coming up in the last, 5 to 10 years. And now we're I'm really excited to be able to grow your varieties here this coming season.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrea.
Thank you.
See you Thursday. Ciao, ciao.
Wow. Bye-bye.